You ever think about history like a giant video game? Seriously, for like 1,000 years, everybody was playing on the same server with the same rules. And then, bam, a massive system update drops, and it completely changes the gameplay, the characters, the whole world map. So, what was in this epic update? Let's dive in and find out. All right, so let's picture this game world, okay? The original version, it's all about knights in shining armor, right? You've got these huge stone castles, and your life path, it's pretty much locked in from the moment you spawn. But then the update hits, and suddenly the game is crawling with these superstar artists, brilliant inventors, and thinkers who are just challenging all the old rules. So, how in the world did we get from level 1 to level 2? That's exactly what we're going to break down right now. Okay, so first things first, we got to understand the original game, the Middle Ages. We're talking about an era that lasted for about 1,000 years. And yeah, it had a very, very clear and super rigid rulebook for how you were supposed to live your life. So here's the most important thing to get. In the Middle Ages, life wasn't really about you as an individual. Not at all. It was all about your role in the group, your team. The main power player wasn't a king or some huge army. It was the church. And the main quest? It wasn't about getting famous or rich in this life. Nope. It was all about grinding for a good spot in the next one, the afterlife. For most people, this meant your life was basically on rails. If you were a peasant, well, you worked the land for a lord. End of story. Your calendar wasn't about spring break or summer vacation. It was all about the farming seasons. And education? Unless you were a monk or a noble, forget about learning to read. Knowledge was like a rare drop in a video game. Super hard to find. And the church? It was the hub world, the absolute center of everything. And just like any good game, this whole era had its own unique soundtrack. And believe it or not, this music tells us a ton about what people were thinking back then. The main background music for this time was something called Gregorian chant. The best way to think about it, imagine a group chat where everyone sends the exact same emoji at the exact same time. It's one voice, one message, total unity. This music, with no instruments and just one single melody, it was all about that group focus on God, not showing off your own individual style. Now, for the longest time, you could only learn this music by listening and memorizing it. That's it. Then we got a little upgrade, these early symbols that kind of showed if the melody went up or down, but the real tech breakthrough, the musical staff. This was a game changer because it let someone read and sing a piece of music perfectly without ever hearing it before. That was a huge, huge step for sharing ideas. And speaking of sharing ideas, this leads us right to the moment the whole system got that massive update I was talking about. We're talking about an invention so powerful, it was basically like the medieval version of the internet getting switched on for the very first time. Okay, so before the mid-1400s, think about this. All knowledge was basically behind a massive paywall. Every single book had to be copied by hand, word for word. Just imagine trying to share a viral TikTok, but for every friend you want to send it to, you have to redraw every single frame by hand. That's literally what it was like. Then along comes the printing press. And this was, no joke, the world's first share button. It took making books from this incredibly slow, super expensive thing only for the elite and turned it into something fast, affordable, and available to way, way more people. For the first time, ideas could actually go viral all across Europe. And this explosion of shared information, it triggered a total system reboot, a complete restart. We call it the Renaissance, which literally means rebirth. And man, it was a completely new way of looking at the world. I mean, just look at the difference here. The focus completely shifts from the group to the individual, to you. The source of power isn't just faith anymore. Now it's about human reason and what we can observe with our own eyes. And the main goal? Forget waiting for the afterlife. It's all about what you can achieve right here, right now, in this life. This whole new way of thinking was called humanism, and here's the perfect way to think about it in game terms. Instead of just focusing on the endgame credits, the afterlife, people started getting really into leveling up their characters' skills, exploring the entire map, and completing all the side quests right here on Earth. And guess what? The soundtrack changed too. Of course it did. Instead of everyone singing the exact same note, you get this new style called polyphony. This is like a group chat where everyone replies with a different, but still related, sticker or gif. All those individual replies come together to create this complex, layered, and totally beautiful conversation.
It was all about celebrating individuality, but still being part of a bigger harmony.
Art got a serious graphics upgrade. I'm talking it basically went from 8-bit to 4K Ultra HD. Artists started actually studying anatomy to make people look real. They figured out how to use light and shadow to make paintings look 3D, like they were popping right out of the canvas. It was all about using science and reason to capture the world as realistically as you possibly could. So, you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but why should I care about some system update that happened like 500 years ago? Well, here's why. We are still living inside that new operating system. The stuff they built back then, it's literally the foundation of our world today. You know, the Middle Ages gave us some pretty big things, like the idea for universities and our legal systems. But the Renaissance? That's where you get the scientific method, the idea that everyone deserves an education, and our modern obsession with individual genius and creating new technology.
All right, so if you remember only one thing from all of this, make it this. The biggest change was this incredible shift from a world focused on the group and what happens after you die to a world that celebrates what one single person can discover, create, and achieve all on their own. And that leaves us with one last question to think about. The printing press changed everything because it changed how we share information. So what's the printing press in your world right now? What's the game-changing invention that's totally shaking things up? Is it your phone, the internet, maybe AI? What's the system update that's rebooting the world for you?